And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Signposts Live. I know it's been 2 weeks since I've done the Signposts, so I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. Hope everybody is doing great this morning. We are going to be doing, again, viewer topics. So any topics that you want to discuss, I've been kind of falling behind with what's happening with current events. Like I said, I'm basically stretched in 100 different directions right now, doing so many things, getting everything together. So I haven't been able to keep up with a lot of current events. So maybe you guys can refresh me and let me know how things are going, because I certainly haven't been able to look at it that much. So first and foremost, we're just going to go ahead and start off with some announcements, and then we'll be getting right into Q&A. Here we go.
Source Energy enhanced products to repair and rejuvenate the body. From the power of light to crystals to bed kits, card decks, and more. View our free samples, tutorials, and testimonials on our website, AetherX.co.
Okay. And so here is AetherX.co. So again, everything on AetherX.co is 20% off. Of course, here it is promoting RAYD8. So again, if you guys aren't aware, RAYD8 is available now on Google Play and the Apple Store. So you can check that out. So 20% off all products store-wide. And again, we have a special deal on the AetherX card deck. So a lot of people keep asking me about certain conditions that they may be having. And I say the card decks are just standing the test of time. With the body deck, for example, you have the heavy metal eliminator. You have the biotoxin eliminator. With the mind deck, you have a lot of emotional releasing cards. With the energy deck, you have those two powerful cards that were really the inception for Etherics and really got things rolling for RAYD8 as well too, right? That's the positive polarity collector and the negative polarity receiver, I believe it is. Positive polarity receiver, negative polarity collector. So those are, again, two powerful cards that are in the energy deck itself that just helps to deliver prana throughout your entire body. So again, these three decks have been remarkable and have been around for years now, and they still do an incredible job. So again, we're offering a 30% discount on all three decks. And again, the same thing with the digital editions as well too. So you can check that out. Like I said, we have the brand new Rainbow 100% Cotton Source Charge t-shirt. That is available right now. That's like kind of having like a miniature version of RAYD8 on your chest. And it feels great. We have the Taurus bed throw blankets. We have this Etheric Source massage mat. Source massage mat is amazing. It feels good. I use it very frequently, and it has helped to get a lot of kinks out of me, that's for sure. I've had a lot of kinks in the back, and massage mat really helps with that. We have the wooden rejuvenation wall arrays. We're getting a new supply in this week as well too. So more of them are coming in, so you can order that. We have the visor masks, the pet collars, the earthing socks, the source flashlight, which I've always talked about in the past. It's exceptionally powerful to helping you in clearing away any aches, stiffness, sores, pain that you have in the body. We have two new pyramids, two new styles of pyramids. And again, they are 25% off right now. And we also have the Organite Source Necklace with Crop Circle Energy. So that is in there too. So again, checking it out, AetherX.co, 20% off. Check it out now. This Saturday, I'm going to be doing an introductory class module for the AetherX Academy for the new students. So if you want to still be a new student, there is still availability in student training, right? You just go to AetherX Academy, click on student training, and you can order the package. Again, this is telling you all about what you can expect through the student training. As 6 months pass, then you're certified, you'll get to move on into coaches training. So coaches training is the advanced level class for those who are certified as students. And you're going to be learning a lot more about the spirit command power for functioning as a spirit vessel. But before we do that, you have to get your foundation built. And that's really what the 6 months of student training here represents. So again, we have availability. You just go to student training here. You click on that, and that will take you to the cart page where you can get the student training 2024. It's all here for you. All right. And RAYD8. I don't know why that's coming up. And RAYD8. So again, we have been successful with our browser app campaign. I'm going to be taking this down today. The browser app campaign is all going. We're now starting to create the browser app. And like I said, we should have it in about a month's time. So if you have Radiate on your mobile device, whether it's the Google Play or Apple Store, or again, an Android or an iPhone. And if you've already purchased the premium version through the mobile apps, then you'll be able to cross-connect that onto the browser app, which means you won't need to pay it a second time when the browser comes up. Okay, so I'm going to be emailing people here from the browser app campaign starting this week and letting them know of a form. So there's a beneficial perk that you get once you have downloaded through the, or once you have made a donation through the browser app campaign. And you can either use that premium version for yourself, or you can give it to somebody else. So I'll be emailing everybody this week for that. All right. Then, of course, finally, we have RAYD8 REGEN. And with RAYD8 REGEN, we have good news about some upcoming centers. Okay. So Cambodia, Australia, New Zealand, BC, Canada. We have a few of these wonderful centers in the works. So it's not just me here together with me. We have 5 centers right now that are working with, or are going to be working with RAYD8 REGEN technology. So that is wonderful. There are more centers to come as well. So again, if you guys want to, like I said, turn your business and bringing about the commercial license of RAYD8 REGEN to be a part of it, this is what you can do. You go to ray8regen.com, you go up to the top of the page, and you go license RAYD8 REGEN, right? And that's all you do. You click on that. This is a little information page telling you all about the benefits you get for a membership. And then if you're ready to apply, you click on apply now and you can sign up. Okay. So like I said, it's good that we're getting quite a few people, but I would love to see this being spread about by hundreds of healing centers, wellness centers all over the world. And I know a lot of people who run wellness centers and healing centers watch this show, right? So what I would suggest is being able to go into RAYD8 REGEN and really start something. This is something that's very affordable, and you get an incredible return on it, right? Because this is not the idea of thinking that you're throwing your money down a hole and nothing will come out of it, right? Basically, all we're asking for is a $2,000 investment. That's the commercial license fee, right? After that, that $2,000 includes us helping to promote you as well, too. We're promoting you through our network, right? So again, you're getting an incredible benefit. You're not just chucking $2,000 down a hole. You're getting all information in the members area to tell you exactly how to set up RAYD8 REGEN. I work with you personally as well too, so you're getting a great deal for your business. This is going to bring about a great return. And people that have come here to my center as well too, because I've already had dozens and dozens of clients coming here, and all of them have left happy. Every single person has left happy, leaving RAYD8 REGEN behind. That tells you of such great promise of what this is. I don't think people really grasp how amazing RAYD8 really is, right? When we're talking about REGEN, when we're talking about the apps, like I said, guys, can you find me another app online that has that kind of power of RAYD8 that's being offered to you for free? No, because there isn't one, right? So this is something really just to consider. If you guys really want to make this a part of your business, you're going to get a phenomenal return. And I'm emphasizing this because this is so important. This is all part of a vision that I'm seeing, is just getting hundreds and hundreds of centers together and working together in using RAYD8 REGEN technology and just spreading it all over the planet. Like I said, I'm glad that EE Systems is doing this, but RAYD8 is doing it as well too. So again, consider it, right? If you have a business or you know someone who who's starting a business and they want to use this, consider that. Talk to them about it, right? Because they're not going to be sorry. They're going to get an incredible return of this. And most importantly, you're helping people in their healing journey. And that's the most wonderful thing. Okay, so let's go ahead now and return back into our program. Today, we're going to go ahead and get into some Q&A. So let me just go ahead and get into the comments. All right, so again, if you guys have any priority questions, you can leave a donation. Okay, so donations are always appreciated. That will put you in priority sequence, and I'll be starting off with the donation-based questions and then just working my way up the list and going down. Again, we have viewers both on YouTube and Rumble, so glad you're all here today. Sometimes I'm able to choose my time with Signposts. Most of the time I'll do it at 8 a.m. today. I had a little bit extra time, so here it is today at 9 a.m. Pacific. So sometimes I know my times can be a little bit weird, but I do my best to let you guys know beforehand if there's any problems. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with Paul's question here. Hello, Paul. Thanks for your donation. Paul says, Was technology such as the sun simulator used in the April 8th eclipse? If not, is it in operation at all? Okay, so a sun simulator. I'm not really familiar with what a sun simulator is. I don't think we can actually simulate the sun. But let me take a look and see what the cards say. Okay. I'm not sure if that was a Bill Gates idea or something like that, but let's take a look and see. I remember he was talking about plans to block out the sun, right? So I'm not too sure what the sun simulator is all about, but we'll just ask if such a technology was used in the April 8th eclipse. Okay, let's see. There's a sun simulator. I haven't heard about it. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so just what I'm getting from the first two cards is telling me this was not a sun simulator. This was the natural sun. This was the natural moon, if you can call it a natural moon. Now, it's a hollowed out sphere, of course, but yeah, from what I can tell here and what I can tell here, no, this was a genuine eclipse. This had nothing to do with any simulators. This had nothing to do with any particular artificial means of technology that was basically, I don't know, creating an artificiality. There's nothing like that. No, the eclipse was very much a genuine eclipse, right? So this is also saying that. Again, we're seeing kind of like the sun rising in the background, okay? The High Priestess is always told me, because I've also done a lot of readings just with the eclipse as well too. And what I've kept getting from the eclipse energies and the eclipse event is that it's extremely positive, right? And that's usually not something you'd find with an eclipse, because an eclipse is a cleaner, right? It's basically causing surgery to the planet. It's basically causing a laceration. And it's again, doing like internal planetary surgery for the Earth, okay? But here, in that sense, this represents something very sacred. This represents, again, a greater revealing of events that are going to be coming together that is going to lead to further exposures, okay? So again, people standing up, right? There are arguments, fighting. There's going to be some of that. There's going to be some backlash altogether. But from what I can see, I don't see anything in regards to a sun simulator, right? I'm not getting anything here relating to even the existence of a sun simulator, right? This is all part of something that has happened. It's all part of a sacred connection. It's all part of a sacred sequence that is going to lead to, again, liberation, right? So, sorry, Paul, but I'm not seeing anything here about a sun simulator or anything of the eclipse being caused by a sun simulator. I'm not even aware of the operation of a sun simulator, not from what I'm getting from this reading, right? So I've never, ever heard of a sun simulator. Right? So that's just my honest truth, guys. I don't even know what that is. What's a sun simulator? And what is this technology? Again, I'm not sure if people are just spreading that out on the internet. So, oh yeah, it's not really a sun. It's a simulated sun. Like, what are you talking about? What the hell's a simulated sun? So I have no idea what people are talking about with that. So you guys have to kind of educate me a little bit more. What's a sun simulator? Never heard of it, right? Never even know it even existed. Like I said, I'm aware of Bill Gates. What he was trying to do was try to block out the sun and basically try and use more power systems here just as a means to get more greed and, again, have power over energy systems and all that. But I never heard of a sun simulator. That's very, very new to me. Anyways, if you guys can educate me on that, I'd appreciate that. So thank you, Paul. Okay, this one here is from Peace Gem Music. I'll just open up the, oh, sorry. I forgot about the other donation. I'll go to that right after this one. Peace Gem Music says, will the intervention fleet also help with the other ailments apart from the poking ones? Is it sufficient to invoke the intervention only once for one person, or it could be repeated? Okay, so if you guys aren't too sure what Peace Gem is referring to, yesterday on Wisdom Transmissions Gathering, if you weren't tuning in, one of the highlights of that broadcast was Adronis coming through and sharing the intervention fleets. Now, the intervention fleets are something that he has been talking about going back to about 2014. And since 2014, like I said, he has shared that, and people had some very remarkable experiences with the intervention fleets, okay? What he was talking about it yesterday is there was a question regarding people who had inoculations, and that's all I'm just going to refer to them as inoculations or poke jabs in that way. And they were concerned about toxicity in the poke jabs or inoculations. And so Adronis came through and he said that you can work with the intervention fleets with this. Okay, so intervention fleets basically represent a cosmic fleet, and they're well within the many thousands, and they work together with people pertaining to sincere issues. Okay, like I said, you're kind of putting out a call sign, right? So this is the symbol for the call sign. Okay, so it's kind of like you're bending your hand to bring 2/3 of a triangle, and then the other hand, which represents a slash. This is a cosmic symbol that represents intervention. That's exactly what this symbol means. It means intervention on a cosmic level, right? We're working with intervention. And like I said, this was given to me all the way back 10 years ago, right? 2014. So what Peace Gem is asking here, is it sufficient to invoke the intervention only once for one person, or could be repeated? Well, Peace Gem, that just depends in regards to how they intervene. Like I said, they scan you, and that's up to them. Basically, if there's a crisis, that crisis really just comes down to one thing. Okay, they scan your entire body, they scan you completely. If there is something that they feel is not for you to be capable of in resolving, they will help you. But if they scan you and they say, well, this isn't really too bad, this is something that they're going to be able to get through, they will not help you at all. Okay, so they're only looking at something that represents a very severe issue, which they feel would be beyond your capability to heal. If that happens, they will intervene. They will help to clear that out for you. Okay. But if they say that that's something, okay, this is something karmic that he or she needs to work out, it's something that they will be able to overcome, they will not help you at all. Okay. This is not like a service where you're coming to me, for example, for healing. When you're going to intervention, this is life or death. Okay. When you're going into intervention, you have something so severe and you are so absolutely sincere in getting help with it. Okay. That's what the intervention fleets are for. They're not just here because you want to relieve a headache. Okay. They're not just here because you have a bad back, all right, or you got a joint pain or anything like that. No, none of that. This is severity and sincerity. And this is what Adronis has really wanted me to emphasize for the intervention fleets, is that they will come in if they feel that what you have within yourself or what another person has is beyond your capability to heal. And if it's beyond your capability to heal, they will work with you, right? But they always do it nonchalantly. They do it in silence. They don't do that much in regards to making their presence known. You're basically asleep. You may feel like something's happened. You wake up the next morning, you feel a lot better. Okay. That's what the intervention is about. Okay. It's not about a repeat thing. Like I said, you have really only one life-threatening situation. Okay. With that life-threatening situation, that's it. Okay. If it was something else, you'd be able to resolve that. Okay. So this is really what we would refer to as a single life-threatening situation. And remember that word, a single life-threatening situation. This is not about you calling them up every single week and say, oh, can you remove this? Can you remove that? That's not life-threatening. That's not a life-threatening situation. Your life-threatening situation comes down to one thing. And that's what they help you out with if they feel that you are not capable of healing this yourself. Okay? They do a scan on you. They scan you. They look at things. They may even start to look into your akasha. They may start to look into your karma to see exactly what this is all about. And if they feel like this is something that is beyond you to heal, they will work with you. Okay. That's how it works, my friends. Okay. This is not a healing service with the intervention. This is an intervention request. Okay. If you are looking for intervention, this is the most serious, this is the most sincere situation you have ever faced. And you are looking at your options. You say, I just don't know how to get out of this. I feel like I'm a targeted individual. Okay. A targeted individual will be very, very good for intervention fleets, because I've told targeted individuals this before. If there's any targeted individuals watching, that's exactly what you should be doing. Okay. Targeted individuals in that sense are basically having gang stalkers. They're basically being attacked by psionic weapons. They're being attacked by sound weapons, by electronic weapons, and all these different things all the time. And they're almost at a loss. They just don't know what they can do, right? That's the time to call in the intervention fleets, okay? that's when you can do it. If you just feel that no matter what you're doing, nothing's working and everything's falling apart, and you just don't feel within yourself, you know what you do to heal yourself. That's where you call in. Okay? That's the call sign. I really hope I'm making this as clear as possible for people. Okay? So again, the intervention fleets are here, but they're not here. Like I said, it's not a healing service, because I've had people like that say, well, I've had this really bad pain with my neck and all that stuff. Is it life-threatening? Well, not really. Then don't call the intervention fleets about that. Okay? Intervention fleets, life or death. Okay? Deep sincerity, deep seriousness. You have exhausted all of your options. There's nothing else you can do. Intervention. Okay? That's what it's about. That is what they represent. I really want you guys to pay attention to that. Really pay attention to what I'm saying to you. Because the whole idea is people get excited about this. They feel there's a minor issue that they're actually capable of healing, and then they call. And then they get super disappointed because nothing happens. Do you know why nothing happens? Because you're capable of healing that yourself, right? And I get people like that are disappointed. I've done the intervention fleets. I've done the call sign. Nothing's happening. What's your problem? Oh, I just got a backache. Got a backache and I'm trying to get, no. Is that life-threatening? Is that life or death? No. Okay? That's how you have to look at this with the intervention fleets. You are not getting healing. Okay? You are getting intervention. Intervention is a life or death situation. Okay? That's what I want to remind you of. So Peace Gem, I hope that's made sense to you. Please make that clear to anybody who asks you about the intervention fleets. Guys, if people are asking you about the intervention fleets, show them this part of the video. Okay? Life or death, very severe. You've exhausted your options. Now I work with intervention. Okay? That's what it's for. So I hope that's clear to everybody. Okay, let's go down to Sean here. Sean has a question. Let's go here to open him up. Hi, Sean. Thanks for your donation. Sean says, is the law of one, aka raw material, an accurate description of evolution, that a being may evolve with love of others or love of the self? It is an analogy. Okay. I've talked about this before as well, too. I've talked a lot about the law of one. I've talked to Carla Ruckert when she was alive about, I did an interview with her and talked to her about her connection to channeling and all that. And when we're looking at the raw material, a lot of it is really analogy, example-based. There is some historical truths with it as well, too. It's one of the best channeled literary materials of all time, right up there with the Seth material, okay? So when you're talking about an accurate description of evolution, that a being may evolve with love of others or only with love of self, what they're talking about is they're talking about a polarity here, right? The whole idea, for example, is if it's a very, very greedy person where they're only looking out for number one, they embezzle everything from everybody else. They're so concerned for their own selfish welfare, okay? What that's doing is that's putting you on a vibrational weight. That vibrational weight, that pressure is bringing you down, okay? And that is exactly what the law of one is telling you. But it's telling you in some form of technical analogy about what this is all about. When you're working with service of others, you're not so concerned with the nature of your own ego, and you're lightening yourself up, right? Your ego is not a factor when you are contributing through a service to others mentality. And that is lifting you up. That is lightening you up a lot more, okay? That's shifting you into a greater expansion. So one is contraction, the other is expansion. One is contraction, the other is expansion, okay? So when you're contracting a lot, it's because all you really care about is yourself. You're concerned about this body. You're concerned about your material goods. You're concerned about how to be successful. You're concerned about how to make millions and billions of dollars and robbing people, because you're only concerned about your own self-security. That is what we would refer to in this analogy as a self-service person, okay? So with their analogy, they're quite correct, okay? There are people in that sense who are saying, well, there's that scale. If it's 51% or more that your service to others, that you're moving into greater states of expansion. Well, again, these are working with analogies. Like I said, these are technical percentage-based analogies that the law of one utilizes, because law of one is very technical, right? It's a very, very strong technical piece of material, Okay. So they will use percentages as that means. And I think that's just basically how Carla Rickard would channel that, because she too had quite a bit of technical expertise with herself as well. It's very technical. It's very strong with material. It's very, very practical in that way of what they try to do. And that's also what Don Elkins was all about too. He was all about practicality. He was all about moving much more into a logical approach of these things. And Law of One reflected that, right? So they use analogies that complement the nature of technicalities, okay? It's not so cut and dry as the idea of percentages, but like I said, they're just using that for an analogy. That if you are moving much more into at least a bit of yourself, a little bit more towards expansion, right? Which is really what I call it. I call it more of expansion than service to others, right? If you're moving much more into expansion, you have a little bit more there, right? Maybe there's some tightness about yourself, about being quite materialistic and so forth, but there's a part of you that's expanding, that's a little bit more stronger than the contracting. That's moving you into a greater expanse. Okay, now that greater expanse will not be phenomenal compared to someone who is expanding profoundly, okay? But if you even have a little bit of that expansion within you, that's helping you. And that's helping you transition through these times. But a lot of people will think, okay, all I really have to do is just expand a little bit and then somebody takes care of me. No, nobody takes care of you, right? This is all about expansion. This is about you seeing another world. Nobody is going to have a perspective for you. Nobody is going to live life for you. Nobody is going to tell you exactly what everything is that life represents and means for you, okay? Anybody that does that is basically what you would refer to as being a vampire, being a moocher, right? They want to control you. You are completely giving up your willpower, your sanity, everything towards some particular person or people who you think have a greater perspective of things than you do. And that is you being a slave. That's a slave mentality. That's basically what's been imprinted in our genes for a very long time, right? Like I said, a lot of people keep thinking that alien races came here and they created humanity. Bullshit. Okay? That is not what has happened. Everything that humanity represents comes from a much higher plane that is far beyond an extraterrestrial realm, right? So people talk about the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki were tinkerers. They were tinkerers of genetics, and they would get a hold of the human genome. They did not create it. They can't. They're too stupid. Okay? But they would tinker with genetics, and they would tinker with these things, and they would shut off certain components of DNA to making humans much more submissive, to make them feel that they need to have some type of messiah complex, that they need to worship a lot more, that they need to get down on their knees a lot more and worship people who they think were higher than them, right? That is a genetic kink. You could say that's a shackle in our own genes, and it is very possible to shut those genes off. But that is very much what's been contained in our genetics for a very, very long time, right? We've had about 38, 39 versions of the human genome being resequenced throughout sequences of time. And again, we're still just looking to get out of that shackle, right? That shackle is telling you, you're not going to be good on your own. You can't be independent. Don't have independent thought. Sound familiar? Right? You're hearing a lot of documentary films talking about this, right? Obey, no independent thought, reproduce, consume, purchase, and buy, right? That's programming. That's just firing up DNA that's already in there that has been brought forward by the tinkerers. But again, like I said, once you overcome that and you start working with yourself and you focus on expansion, those genetics are going to turn off. Okay? So this again is what's being shared pertaining to the law of one, is the nature of evolution. Can you evolve yourself past these shackles that you have been made to feel like you need to pursue life in that way? That I can never be successful. I'm not supposed to have independent thought. I'm not supposed to think for myself. I'm not supposed to take action for myself, right? I'm not supposed to expand. I'm not here to help others. I'm just out for number one, okay? There's your impression of service to self and service to others, or contraction, expansion, okay? So Sean, I hope that makes sense. Great question, by the way, too. So I've certainly read a lot of the Law of One books for a long time. So no, they're quite amazing. I've always really appreciated them. And it was an honor to talk to Carla Rickhart. She was in the hospital when I was talking to her. It was back around 2011. I did like a half-hour interview on one of my programs back then, one of my radio shows. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was Approaching Critical Mass or something like that, or Self-Empowerment TV or something like that. I had quite a few names. But I got to talk to her, and it was just, I considered it a great honor, as I consider her like the mother of channeling. So it was wonderful. Anyways, thank you, Sean. Thank you for your question. All right, we got more donation requests, so I'm just going down the list here, see if I can find them. Okay, here's Life is Magic. Hello, Life is Magic. Thanks for your donation. So Life is Magic says, you talked about repopulation. Will highly dense countries like Hong Kong and Singapore play a part for the better? And will these countries allow more organic living in the coming few years? The places on the planet that have a tremendous amount of population are going to be the ones that are going to be the example setters, right? So if you're looking again at cities in India, if you're looking at cities in China, right? If you're looking at cities in Africa, right? These major population centers. Well, that's where a lot of this needs to come out, right? A lot of these people, a lot of these places around the world are going to be the trendsetters. Because again, in major population centers, this is really where the action is happening, right? If you're kind of in a small, tucked away town or village in that way, it's not really going to play that big of a part, right? Really what's playing a big part in all of this pertaining to repopulation will come through the major population centers of the planet, okay? Because that's really where you can focus on the majority of the world. Okay, I'm not talking about little villages that are kind of tucked out here down the corner, right? Maybe there's a population of like 2,000 or 3,000 people. Not really looking at that. They will certainly have their own transformations, of course, but we really are looking at the major population centers of the world and seeing how their behavior is shifting. So when you're talking about Hong Kong, when you're talking about Singapore, if I'm talking about New York, if I'm talking about Dubai, if I'm talking about Mumbai, if I'm talking about, God knows, whatever else you want to put in there, South Africa, for example. Okay, these are, again, major population centers. Tokyo, there's another one. Major population centers that as you observe them and you see exactly how the people are behaving and shifting, that is actually a very great measurement to letting you know about the transformational effect that is taking place upon the planet. So guys, when I'm talking about repopulation, and there may be some who may not know what I'm talking about with that, right? Repopulation, do you mean depopulation? No, guys, there's not going to be a depopulation, okay? That was never something that was even going to happen, but it was a threat that was made to happen, right? We're not going through a depopulation agenda. You are going through a repopulation agenda, okay? What a repopulation agenda is that those who are no longer in sync with the new Earth as she continues to evolve herself, with them not being in sync there, they're going to basically take themselves out, right? They will take themselves out by the intensity of their own suffering and pain, okay? Their own intensity, suffering, and pain is what's going to lead to their departure of this world. And because the Earth is moving up into the higher heavenly planes, as I've talked about, to take on another platform, those particular people just are not in sync with her energy. And they will find themselves incarnating somewhere else. They will be somewhere else, wherever that may be, another planet, another dimension, whatever it may be, and continuing their own transformations, their own soul evolution, so to speak, in other spheres, other planes. And what's happening is that there are new populations coming upon the planet, new souls that are basically incorruptible. This is where I say, if we start looking at the next couple of generations ahead, like I said, if I'm looking at my grandchildren, for example, or my great-grandchildren, they are going to be an entirely new, different species of humans. They will basically coming upon this planet with so much light in their hearts. They would never, ever think of bamboozling somebody. They would never, ever think of manipulating somebody for their own selfish base needs, right? They are all about, again, just like we talked about, expansion, right? Service to others. That is what's leading to this new transformation that's coming. The old generations, in that sense, well, a lot of us have been contaminated by a lot of that manipulation, materialism, all of that. That is not going to be the wave of the future, right? All of that is dying out. person that's so materialistic and basically just thinking about physicality and their own well-being and not caring about others, that's not going to be the human race of the future. Okay, the next couple of generations is going to be much more heart-centered. Okay, the previous generations were down here. They were in the belly. They were in the navel. Okay, and they're basically they had a strong amount of willpower, but that willpower can be perturbed. It can be perturbed into certain directions. It can be redirected in things that could be quite hurtful. You actually have a lot of these really incredible people on the planet who are basically leaders today who have chosen the path more about the material than about the spiritual, or more about the heart, right? And these people are very powerful. Even when you're looking at these people that are leaders on the planet, for them to even get where they are required a great deal of power, a great deal of expansion, a great deal of commitment. And that is something that is certainly respectable through them. But what happens is that they have been erroneously bred to serving these selfish acts, to basically consider the idea of power, right? They have been completely manipulated to the state of power. And this is going back into ancient Egypt. This is going back into Samaria. This is going back into Atlantis, where you have these incredible, you could say, priests, these oracles, these public servants who got into these positions because the people brought them there. And rather than them being the spokespeople for the people, they got into their own selfish ends. And that is what caused them to be turncoats. And they have basically spent lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetimes. And again, maybe they're going into the Roman Empire, maybe they're going into the British Empire, they're going through all these different civilizations to see if they can clear up a lot of that detrimental karma that is within them. And they've been struggling, right? And here they are now in the modern empire, and they are falling apart again. Some have an opportunity to turn themselves around and realize the true blessing that it is to be expansive, to serve other people. And then you have others in that sense that just keep falling down the same hole again. And so, okay, well, this was your last chance to do it here on this planet. You need to go somewhere else that will be similar to finish off your learning, right? To finish off your goals, to finish off what it is that you're here to evolve as. Okay, that's what's happening right now. So again, with repopulation is all about bringing in those fresh souls that are coming in that are incapable of being corrupted. And this is why I say the young people are going to be the innovators of the earth. They are going to be bringing in a lot of these hidden technologies. They will have incredible intelligence where they could basically build something like a scalar device just like that, where they could build an anti-gravitic device just like that, where they could build up a powerful clean energy device just like that, right? And they can get their magnetism is so strong that they'll bring a lot of people together along with them to kind of creating this barrier, so that these particular inventions that the youth will create, and being even more practical than a lot of the other people back then who are creating energy devices, they will even surpass them in regards to their intelligence, in regards to their ingenuity, in regards to their resources, in regards to their support, right? But we needed those pioneers from the past who really were committed and wanting to get free energy to people, who are creating anti-gravitic devices, right? Like anti-gravitic devices back then were so incredibly outlawed that if you were trying to bring about any form of anti-gravitic device, it would be seized immediately, okay? Because those anti-gravitic devices, not only, number one, could they break quarantine, which was happening upon the planet as well too, which still technically is happening in certain ways. You can basically, I would say, shift it to the degree where you can move into different dimensions, right? Anti-gravitic technology enables the idea of the opening of different dimensions, right? So that, again, is why there is a big outlaw of it. I could go on and on and on about this, guys. There's so much information about repopulation and the generations ahead. But repopulation in that sense, if you're talking about Hong Kong and Singapore, yes, those are some. But a lot of the major population centers are going to be making a difference. And we're seeing that difference unfold as we look at the major population centers of the planet, because that helps us to look at the nature of statistics and how well people are transforming. And right now, a lot of people are angry. But that anger is going to turn into something else. It's going to turn into a deep resolve. Anger is just the first step. Resolution will follow. Okay, so thank you again, Life is Magic. Hope that made sense to you. Okay, we got some more donations here. This one is from Sargent. Sargent says, hello, Brad. Can you give a quick reading on Mexico? Cartels seem to control major parts of the country. All right, well, let's take a look at that. I'm not going to try and put my own opinion on it. I'm going to let the cards speak on this. Okay, so basically we can ask, is Mexico cartels basically controlling major parts of the country? Okay, let's ask that question. Are Mexico cartels controlling the majority of the country? Okay, so what I'm getting, the feeling is that they used to once upon a time. No, in fact, their cartels are being broken apart, and they're fleeing, rather, because there are task forces within Mexico that are cracking down with the majority of these cartels, right? There's actually going to be a big shining wave of peace that's going to be coming over Mexico very, very soon, okay? These cartels are basically being exposed, and a lot of them are actually trying to flee up to the United States. It's exactly why they've been trying to keep the borders open, because there's going to be a lot of crackdowns taking place on a lot of these cartels that have been running Mexico for a long time. So the tides have turned. The wheel is turning here, okay? So as we see the wheel turning, we're seeing a new beginning. We're seeing the idea that these old things that were happening pertaining to these cartels, they're starting to fade out. And this is exactly why a lot of them are running. And a lot of them are basically trying to make their way up the border to see if they can salvage their cartels up there, because they have criminal bosses in the United States, and they can basically get shelter, and they can kind of reseed themselves in that way. But I don't feel like that's going to happen either, right? There is an entire balancing act. This is exactly what I've been talking about for years, ladies and gentlemen, about the idea of all these cartels, these criminal cartels being busted, being taken down. And the reason why there's a lot of stirring up right now is because you're basically ripping out all of this old wood, and you're finding the cockroaches scatter, right? You're finding the infestations of the cockroaches layer. And through a lot of that exposure, you're seeing the cockroaches and the rats running, right? Because their dwellings, their shelters, their layers are being completely and totally infiltrated. They basically have a lot of hidden agents that are part of these cartels. They get in at a certain time, they get intel, and then they get crackdowns on them, right? So a lot of these cartels, these criminal cartels, not just in Mexico, but all over the planet, wherever there's been a lot of criminal cartels, they're basically running. They're running and they're fleeing, and they're trying to find other nests. They're trying to find other burrows. They're trying to find other layers. They're trying to find other rotten levels of wood that they're trying to hide in, right? But it's becoming less and less all the time. The Earth, in regards to her immune system, is cracking down on all of this. So there is a cracking down with this. If this is representing the cartels, they are carrying a lot of weight right now. They are losing a lot of people. They are losing resources. They are basically losing all of their support in their rings as well too. There is a major crackdown here, and here we go with the King of Swords. King of Swords is bringing the sword down, saying, you are not going to fool us anymore. We are going to crack down on you. And so there, you've basically stirred up a hornet's nest, right? The hornets are realizing that their nest is now broken apart. They can't live there anymore, and so they're scattering, right? And they want to try and sting anybody who's getting in their way. So I'm not getting anything about a worsening happening. What I'm seeing is a shaking up. What I'm seeing is a jolting. What I'm seeing here is a shift in the balance of power, okay? There is a greater abundance taking place. A lot of these particular cartels are losing their edge. They are losing resources. They are losing support. And there's going to be repercussions to what they have been doing. So it feels like there's ones who are going to also go through betrayal, right? They're basically asking me their higher ups for help, and they're going to fall apart, right? There's going to be other resources directed to their higher ups that may go towards other things. And so this is going to lead to the end of cartels. This is going to lead to the end of mobs, right? Mafias. All of it is falling apart. Everything is being scattered to the wind. Like I said, what's happening right now, because we're pretty much close to the midpoint of this decade, is we're seeing the immune system of the Earth just powering up majorly. And all of the infections, all of the viruses, all of the bacteria, all the pathogens, all the toxicities and nastiness that's been inside this earth body right now are basically being cleaned out, right? We're opening up their dwellings, we're kicking down their layers, we're kicking down their doors, and they're scattering to the wind. That's what's happening right now, right? Everything pertaining to these cartels, with everything that represented their establishments and foundations, are being bulldozed to the ground, and they're scattering, and they're trying to find something else to do. They're trying to find somewhere else to go, to feel like they can still continue stuff, but they're being cracked down constantly. So regarding that question, Sergeant, I would say that the cartels are actually doing the opposite. They used to control a lot of parts of Mexico, and you're right about that. Not anymore, right? They are being cracked down. If we really saw a lot of the stuff that were happening behind the scenes, of course, where there's not a camera, you guys wouldn't even be panicking about stuff. If you could see a lot of the crackdowns, a lot of the things that are taking place with a lot of these cartels, particularly with a lot of these teamed alliances, some of them in that sense are humans, some of them are combinations of off-worlders together with humans, and they're cracking down not just with cartels, they're cracking down these laboratories, they're cracking down these installations, they're cracking down these underground bases. Everything's being cracked open. It's magnificent. I tune into that and I feel it. And I say it's like the sun is shining upon something that was very, very dark, right? If you guys could feel that, you wouldn't be panicking about anything, right? You could see what's happening behind the scenes. You wouldn't be scared. This is all part of a process. This is just all people frantic and scared and trying to make threats and trying to keep their bloated empires alive, but it's like it's losing its footing. It's like all of this rotten wood is trying to keep up the heavy supports, and it's all falling down, Brad. Yes, you got it. It's exactly what's happening, right? But they go on the TV and they try to still make you afraid because they can't lose that fear and control over you. They got to keep the shackles on you. They got to try and make it feel, oh no, hey, even though all this crap's happening behind the background, make them still go in fear. We need that, okay? That's what's happening in front of the scenes. And guys, anytime you're looking at the internet with anything like that, at best, you may have a blur between what's in front and what's behind the scenes. But 90 to 95% on the internet is garbage, right? So you got to be careful with that. Like I said, this is where your truth is. This is what I'm tuning into. This is what I see. I can see those cartels getting cracked down. I can see all of these old mafias that have been around for a very, very long time losing their support, losing their empire, losing their foundations. They're scattering to the winds. They're just like cockroaches, again, frantically running, trying to survive. That's what's happening. That's what's representing behind the scenes. If you guys could see that, your worries would be over. This is why I really don't care about this stuff. I'm not really worried about this. Oh, Brad, this is happening. Like, guys, just don't worry. If you saw the stuff that's happening behind the scenes, you would not be worried one bit. Nothing would cause you to worry. But they're trying to do all this shakeup in front of the scenes, trying to make you feel like you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose your home. You're going to lose your family. You're going to lose your money. You're going to lose your career. You're going to lose all this. You're going to lose all this. You're going to lose all this. And they're trying to do inflation and all that stuff. But at the same time that they're trying to do all this stuff, there's counter forces happening to basically cancel a lot of these diabolical and devious plans away and out, right? And so, like I said, the best thing to do is to be in support with each other, help each other out, right? Where there is life-threatening situations, well, now you know what to do, right? Some things that can help you, most definitely. Intervention. All right, so thank you, Sergeant, for your question. Let's go down. I got quite a few donation-based questions here today. So let's go to Paul. Okay. Hello, Paul, and thank you for your donation. Can we discuss some of the lifestyle moments and contrasts of being just light in the higher realms versus living below the angelic realms? I know that emotions do not go above a certain point. Okay. It's very difficult to explain this stuff, Paul, because you're not looking at something that's practical when you're looking at the light planes, right? When you're in the light planes, because I've had those moments of being inside the light planes, all you feel is bliss. You are so highly connected to everything. There's that beautiful expansion. You feel that connection. It's like God is holding your hand, right? It's a beautiful thing. You talk about the light realms and the angelic realms. Well, Paul, they're the exact same thing, okay? The angelic realms are not something that's above light. The angelic realms basically represent a higher contrast of mind. They would represent, again, that particular nebulous, or again, like a membrane that represents the higher mind. Angelics would just simply reside within the right brain a lot more. They are much more right brain oriented. And that is why humanity has been learning to move from the left side of the brain to the right side of the brain, right? Where you can actually start to see all these kingdoms. You can see these beautiful domains, these beautiful dimensions, these beautiful planes to where these beautiful beings reside. And they show you everything, right? Nothing is also, cut into little pieces. You're seeing the big picture of everything, right? When you're going into a versus, it doesn't work. That's a human term. This is not about a versus. Okay, the higher realms, when you touch that, you're in touch with everything, right? There's no versus. There's no me or them. There's no us versus them. There's no higher or lower. Everything is seen. I've been in the higher astral realms. I've been in the causal planes. I've seen it exactly what it's like. There's no such thing as a VS. There's no such thing as a versus, right? And like I said, you're still in the body, and you're seeing, you're feeling, you're sensing all of these things around you all at once. And that's this thing. I can't really have words for you about that, or what that's like, other than it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's blissful. Everything's non-linear. Everything's just complete. There's no question marks. If anything, there's just a bunch of exclamation marks because you're so excited to be there. It is paradise. It is heaven. It is the Garden of Eden. It is whatever you want to call it, as nirvana, right? And you can call it light realms. You can call it angelic realms. Who gives a crap what you call it? It's all the same, right? We try to put things on a ladder and think, okay, well, here's the astral realm, here's the emotional realm, here's the feelings realm, here's the light realm, here's all these realms. You don't even know what you're talking about. It's all these people that are just trying to compartmentalize what they hear and what they see from others who have actually been there. And they get all of that data, and they're trying to create a ladder. And so, okay, well, here's your astral realm, here's your mental realm, here's your realm, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't work that way. You're still trying to compartmentalize what is pure, whole, and complete through left brain mechanisms. So I say just a lot of this stuff isn't necessary. It fills your head with inaccurate approaches in understanding the higher planes, right? You cannot chart them because they don't reside within the left brain, okay? You can chart this world. You can chart worlds that are like this, that basically do have left brain compatibility. With the higher planes, you can't do it. It's not possible. There's just so much. And you're seeing how everything is one, how everything is connected, how beautiful everything is, how divine everything is. It's like you're holding the hand of God. I've been there. I know what that's like, right? And just all these, I don't know, psychiatrists, psychologists, all these people that have these degrees and PhDs are trying to compartmentalize this and put this into boxes. And so, there's this plane, then there's this plane, this plane, this plane. Have you even been there? No. Well, this is why. This is why you're doing a bunch of nonsense, right? Just trying to compartmentalize all the higher planes. You haven't even been there. Have you even been inside the kingdom of heaven? No, I haven't. I have. And it's remarkable. And everything is there. Everything that you want to know is available to you. You are holding the hand of God. How much more can I make that clear, right? Lifestyle does not exist in the higher planes. There is no lifestyle. Lifestyle is a left brain approach because that's compartments. I have my work, and then after my work, I got to go and get some lunch. And after I get some lunch, I got to go back to work. And after I go back to work, I go pick up the kids. And after I go pick up the kids, I got to go to home and I got to make dinner. Then I got to do some homework and blah, 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 blah. That's compartments. That's lifestyles. None of that exists in the higher plane. There is none of that garbage. Okay? That is left brain mumbo jumbo. And that is not how it is when you are moving up into the higher planes. Everything is with you. everyone is with you. Everyone you love is with you. Everyone that you admire, you love, that you appreciate, that you've seen as deities are all around you. God's love is all around you. God is holding your hand. It's beautiful. You cannot describe it until you actually experience it. Right? So this is why I don't agree with anything that people do with trying to compartmentalize the divine. It's like, again, you're looking at something that is an infathomable scale and you're trying to put it in a little box, right? And that's ignorance. And it's ignorance because we favor so much of the left brain. It's not to say that the left brain isn't useful, but you're putting it into such a demand in regards to what it was not naturally used for. People have cut off the right brain hemisphere of themselves, and they're just sticking with the left brain and thinking that everything represents a phenomenon has to be compartmentalized in a left brain approach. And that's what's going to get you lost. Not only are you going to be completely and totally inaccurate, but you're just going to be in a jumble, right? If you just get a glimpse of the right brain right now, if I was just to throw a glimpse of the higher planes in your face right now, you would basically have to take the rest of your life trying to explain what you saw because you couldn't do it, right? The left brain just couldn't keep up with it. It's all about data seeking. It's all about data mining. It's about nitpicking. It's about tinkering, right? And how can you tinker over something that's so vast, that's far vaster than the universe? How can you do it? You can't. You would need to spend thousands, hundreds of thousands of lifetimes trying to get that idea. This is why I say the left brain approach pertaining to the phenomena of the higher planes is useless. All you can really do is just give simple words. It's blissful. It's wonderful. It's expansive. It's amazing. Everything's interconnected. Everyone is with you. Everything that you love is with you. You are holding God's hand. The light is everywhere. You are everyone. You are everything. You are all that exists. You are the entire universe. You are a molecule. You are an atom. You are a star. You are a galaxy. You are universes upon universes. You are dimensions upon dimensions. Everything is you. That's the best thing I can do for a left brain approach. But if we start tinkering with it and we start putting it in categories and all that stuff, you're wasting your time because that's not how it works. And again, we're just so fascinated by trying to give a left brain approach of it. Rather, I'd say go back into those experiences in the right brain. Center yourself. Follow the breath. Be aware. Just be aware of everything. Forget the rest of the senses. Forget about what you see, smell, taste, touch, and hear. Just use awareness as your one and only sense. I am aware. I am aware of everything that is around me right now, 360 degrees, 720 degrees. And just stay in that awareness. And that's bringing you into the right brain. And that is expansion. That is wholeness. That is totality. Okay? So, Paul, I hope that helps you. That's what I can share in regards to that. There's no lifestyles in higher plane. There just is life. All right? Thank you, Paul. Okay, let's go to Grow here. Grow has her donation. Thank you very much. Grow says, May 17th is Norway's National Day. In Oslo, more than 100 primary schools and others will go up to the main street to the Royal Palace where the royal family stands on the balcony. Is that the royals? I really don't know what you're asking. Okay. The royals are basically standing on the balcony. Okay, so I think what you're asking for, the people that were standing on the balcony, were those the royals of Norway? Okay, or were they somebody else? I guess, is that what you're asking? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay. Well, May 17th is something in the future, so I guess what you're going to be asking is, well, when May 17th comes around and the royals are standing on the balcony, were those the actual royals of Norway? Okay, let's take a look. See what the cards say. Of course, that event hasn't come yet, so who knows if royals are even standing on the balcony, but if they are, let's see. They will be made to look like the royals, okay, but they will not be the real royals. Okay, now, with all respect, Gro, there's an easier way to ask this. The royals of Norway, are the royals still here? Okay, I'd say that's just an easier way to ask this question. Okay, But no, they are made to appear as the royals, but they are not the royals. Basically, you could say a great majority of the royal families across the world right now are not the real royal families. All of them have basically been involved. I would say maybe not all, but majority of them. Majority of them have been involved in major child trafficking, human trafficking, all kinds of criminal cartel offenses, and so forth. So I would say right now you're looking at the majority of the world's royals being apprehended and replaced. Okay, so either they're being replaced by actors or they're being replaced by CGI or anything of that nature. But basically, in that sense, with this question, will the royals be there? No, they're basically, to me, it feels like they've already been incarcerated. It feels like they've already been seized, and they're out of the picture. Okay, so not just the English royals, the British royals, right? But you're looking at, again, the royals in Norway. You're looking at the royals from all different parts of the planet are basically being seized up because they were all part of these cartels. They were doing I wouldn't say, what's the right word for it? Just abominable acts that they were doing with children, with sex slavery, with everything, right? And many of the royals of this planet were involved. And a lot of them have basically just been seized up. And it's hard to say if they're getting trialed or what's going on, but they're basically out of the scenes. This is the very first card that pops up. They're out of here, right? This almost feels like prison bars here. It feels like they're just being incarcerated. They're getting handcuffed. They're being taken out of here, okay? So we're going to start seeing, perhaps within the next little while, we're going to start seeing the complete and total transitioning out of royal families, right? Maybe they, on screen, they get seized, or slanders start happening with them, and they start getting phased out over time. I think with something that big would probably run at least a couple of years. But it feels like a lot of the royal families of the planet here, they're not even royal families. They're basically, you could say, royal criminal families. There you go. They're royal criminal families, right? They are basically apprehended. They've been taken behind the scenes. My guess is they're probably going to have some tribunals and are going to be dealt with, okay? But the past is saying that, yeah, what you see on the television is not what it seems. What you see in news reports is not what it seems. This is all lies. Right, giving the idea that the royals are still there, the criminal royals are still there. They are not, okay? And it's basically that we're going to be seeing a whole new introduction to welfare, a whole new introduction to value, to material goods, right? To their entire empires are going to be overhauled into something else. We are seeing the complete and total transitioning out of criminal royal families, and that's happening right now, okay? So this I'm just seeing a bunch of good cards for this. I'm seeing strength. I'm seeing power back to the people, right? This kind of feels like a crown, the crown of the infinite that's being brought back into people. So my feeling, guys, is I think we're going to be seeing prosperity funding very soon. I can't say Nasera, okay? But it would not surprise me if there are certain programs that are going to be put into effect that is going to bring about wealth to the majority of the people, okay? At least in that something that's a lot more susceptible, helping people out, right? So there may be the idea, again, of overhauling of material goods. Again, there may be lowering of prices, whatever it may be. This is something that's around the corner. But again, we're still kind of in the stint right now of just getting these criminals out of here, right? And once they're out of here, everything is going to be overhauled. And to me, I've talked about prosperity funding. A lot of people are asking about Nasera, Gesera. I said, I've never seen that. I've never seen Nasera, Gesera as a viable thing. To me, it almost feels like a psyop, right? But prosperity funding feels very, very real. However, whatever form that is going to take, feels like it is going to be something that is going to take place. But I've never really been able to agree with the idea of a Nasera or Gesera, right? That's been something that's been around since the early 1990s, at least, maybe late 80s, where they've always been talking about Nasera, Gesera, and its association with the UN. Guys, the UN is nothing but a puppet corporation, nothing but a puppet industry. None of that is real either, right? So anything associated with the UN is based on lies. So that's not what I'm seeing. But prosperity funding, yes, some sort of turnaround that's really going to help recompensate people who are starving, who are suffering. That feels like it's going to be in the works, and something is going to be coming about with the idea of the disappearance of these royal families, these hoarders of wealth. They're being taken out of the picture. All of their money is being seized. And I feel like in some way, through some campaigns, a lot of that will be given together with the people. All right. So you're basically taking billions upon billions upon billions of dollars of wealth from a lot of these royal families who basically have embezzled with child trafficking campaigns and other forms of trafficking campaigns, drug campaigns, war campaigns, everything. And they have made their billions and billions and billions. And all of that's being seized up. What are we going to do? We're going to give it back to the people. We're going to give it back in programs. We're going to give it back in campaigns, because this is exactly what I'm seeing here, right? I'm seeing the idea of this being brought back to the people in time, okay? Not right away, but certainly in time. We have to get out of this stint first. We have to get the riffraff out of the picture. As that happens, new transformations will take place, okay? So prosperity funding, absolutely, this is kind of what I'm seeing here, okay? Celebration, the idea of the wealth being given back to the people, celebration, and saying the nightmare is over, right? We're still going through some of the trudging in the mud right now. The time is going to come when we see, when we get out of the mud pit, guys, and we now finally come into the light, what you are going to see is just going to knock your socks off, right? It's just going to be really, really amazing. You would never imagine that the earth and the people upon it are actually going to be helping each other out. Ending of poverty, ending of wars. It's kind of like the Star Trek future. A lot of people talk about it. There's no more money, there's no more war, there's no more poverty, there's no more famine, there's none of that. That's exactly our future, right? Money is going to phase out over time. It's not going to be right away, but that is very much our future. The Star Trek future is very much the future that we're looking at. It's amazing, and even better than that. So thank you, Grove, for that question. Okay, let's see. I think that's all for the donations. Oh, no, we got Eve here. Eve is one more here. Okay, let me take a look at Eve's question here. Thank you for your donation, Eve. Eve says, hi, Brad. Will the upcoming event include a lockdown at all? No. I have basically looked into the ideas of lockdowns before. They're done. A lot of countries behind the scenes are actually making it illegal to lock down countries in that way now, right? Canada has actually done it, right? Where that it's actually illegal to lock down a country in the way that they did pertaining to an epidemic or a pandemic or anything of that nature, right? They have actually made that illegal. A lot of other countries are also making it illegal for lockdowns like that to happen in that way, okay? So the lockdown card has been thrown away, okay? So I do not see anything with lockdowns. And again, people will talk about it. People will try to embezzle that and say, okay, let's try and do lockdowns. And we can't do lockdowns anymore. We played that card, and now that card has run dry. And now it's just crinkling away. So no, I do not see any lockdowns at all. I've looked into this before. What I'm going to see is exposures. Because again, if they're trying to put anything together with new viruses, right? There's another one called like a norovirus or something like that. And they're trying it again. But like I said, it's not going to do it. Because like I said, they did all these variances with COVID. They did monkeypox, right? They're just doing all these ridiculous things, more stuff with flu and all that. It's just not going to work. It's not going to have that effect as what they tried to do with COVID. They have already played that card. As I said, they can't do the same thing twice, right? So with that worldwide lockdown, they've spent that. They can't do that. They've received the reward in full. They can't do that anymore. That is now cosmically denied. Any attempt they try to do to any particular type of lockdown of the planet isn't going to work. It is cosmically denied now. They've run that course. They failed. And they can't do it again. They want to be able to do it again, but they can't. You can't do the same thing twice, right? So that, again, is what's going to continue to happen, is that they're going to try and threaten. They're going to try and manipulate. They're going to try and orchestrate. They're going to try and make it look like something's happening, and it just falls apart, right? It's like having a bicycle together. You have the whole frame of the bicycle, but there's no screws, there's no nuts, and there's no bolts. And as soon as you let it go, the bicycle falls apart, okay? Well, that's what they're doing. They're basically just putting together the frame of a bicycle with nothing that holds it together. And as soon as they let go, the bicycle falls apart. And that's what their plans are. Okay, let it go, let it go. So there you go. That's the nature of their worldwide plans. And like I said, they'll try and have some local group plans that will try to fester in a certain way and then get debunked and then thrown out in all that way, right? So they're still trying all these things. But like I said, everything relating to their plans will fizzle out, right? It will get attention for a certain amount of time, and then it'll fizzle out, it will implode, Okay, that's where they are. Just nothing of that nature is going to, it's not going to stick. It's not going to clamp on to the collective of the world anymore. People don't trust the government. People are seeing past psyops now. It's amazing to see this. So no, I don't see anything like that in regards to lockdowns whatsoever coming together. Okay, and you can quote me on that. Again, I'm not saying I'm in charge of these things, guys. I just don't see them happening. I basically just see exactly like I said, guys, all I'm doing is reading the signposts with a lot of these things that are happening. And when I read the signposts, a lot of these things just turn out to be correct, right? So I've had people in that sense always concerned about lockdowns, especially after we finished having it around 2023. People say, oh, last summer we're going to have some more lockdowns. I said, no, we're not. Oh, last fall there's going to be another virus scare and there's going to be more lockdowns. No, there's not. And it does not happen. How do I know that? Because I'm reading the signposts. That's all I'm doing, right? I'm tuning in. I'm listening to truth. I'm listening to the impulse of truth, and that becomes the signpost, right? That's why I call this show the Signposts. You've got to learn to read the signposts. It's not about reading experts, not about watching videos, not about reading their books, right? It's about listening to what's in here, because it's really never wrong when you tune into the truth. Okay? Thank you, Eve, for your question. Appreciate it. All right. Now I think, all right, out of other donation-based questions. Okay. All right. Now we'll go to some other questions. I think how we are on time. We can do about another 15 minutes, and then we're going to wrap up. Okay. So let me see here. So just so you know, guys, I don't bring in Adronis for the signposts. I just bring him in for wisdom transmissions. Okay. Because like I said, this is really just focusing on the tarot, my own intuition, and current events. Okay. Okay, basically, Ray, but I think I just answered your question because you were asking about another pandemic lockdown. I've already answered that question. So no, that's not going to be happening. Let's see here. Okay, there's another one here from Peace Gem. Could you please make an exclusive video about ascension of the Earth from 3D to 5D? Whole of net is full of so much wrong info. I know. And I'm basically making that video right now as I speak to you guys, because this is recorded. This is something that people can look into. And I may make it into snippets in that sense. Maybe I'll make this part into a snippet. Okay, so guys, why do you think that a lot of people talk about that we're moving from 3D to 5D? Why do you think that is? Why do you think they skip 4D? Can anybody answer that question? Why do you think they skip 4D? Because 4D is not actually a material dimension. It's time. Okay. 3D is basically their concept of what you would know as the material plane. 5D represents the skipping over of time and coming much more into nonlinearity. To move into nonlinearity would literally be like you living in the dream plane. That is not going to happen in this body. That is not going to happen while you are alive on this planet, functioning in this physical world. Okay. It is not just going to shift where all of a sudden, oh, hey guys, we're on the dream plane. Your body is not calibrated to do that. Your body, this physical vessel that you occupy right now, is not in any particular form of calibration to function in a dream plane. Can't be done. Are there other bodies that reside within dream planes to which you can access? Yes. And a lot of us access those when we go to sleep at night. We have those dream planes. But this, again, is probably one of the biggest lies that you will hear about the idea that, oh, at some particular point, there's some just big shift, and then we just all turn into light beings, or we have dream bodies, and what happens this body, I don't know, it just fizzles out. No. Okay. I know what they're trying to say, but what they're saying is not correct. It's new age garbage. Okay. And I was also getting into a lot of this stuff back in the day as well, too, right? This is not about an ascension. This is about an advancement, right? And like I said, I'm not looking to get on stage with hundreds of thousands of people to debate this. Okay, I'm just giving you guys my perspective, my point of view, because right now I'm just reading a signpost. Okay, this is not about an ascension of the Earth. The Earth, in that sense, is going through an advancement time. Okay, it's going to take her a very, very long time to move up into that higher heaven that Adronis explains. It's not just going to happen within a few weeks. It's not going to happen within a couple of months. It is a progression that is going to happen. And there needs to be a progression of humanity, because humanity is the gauge of letting us know how high up the earth is going. Okay? So you start looking in decades, you start looking in centuries, and you see that the earth is naturally starting to gravitate and propel herself upwards a lot more. And you can see that through the changing of humanity, because humanity is her gauge. Nature is her gauge. Everything that represents life upon the planet, of how they act, of how they behave, of how they mature, of how they balance themselves, is giving you the direct impression of how the earth is transforming. And you're looking at something that will be hundreds of years in the making, perhaps even thousands, before the earth moves up into that next plateau, into that next platform. Okay? So she is most definitely moving towards that area of becoming a higher heavenly body, and another planet is going to take her place down here, because she's taking another place of a planet that moved up here. But again, this progression is going to take some time. Okay? We're certainly seeing the benchmark of that happening, and you will witness that. You will see in that sense in the future of humanity maturing. Okay? Because that's the idea of where humanity is going as a collective, gives you the impression about where the earth is going. That's how it works. As above, so below. As within, so without. So again, when we're looking at the idea of an ascension of an earth to a 3D to a 5D, I think what they're trying to say is that the earth is moving upwards. And for that, you would be correct. Okay, the earth is moving upwards. The idea of us having war, poverty, fighting, right, conflicts, starvation, all of that is going to go. You're right. Okay, but that's not an ascension. That's an advancement. Okay, so there's a difference between advancement and ascension. I talked about this last week, right? Ascension, like I said, is with you are able to completely give up everything relating to the physicality of yourself, the physicality of life, your relationships, your associations, everything, so that you can therefore just be in union with the divine. Okay, and unfortunately, guys, that is not at all where the majority of the planet is going. Not even close. Advancement, yes. Ascension, nowhere near it. Because again, if you're looking at people who have actually been able to achieve actual ascension, it is extremely small. Maybe 200, 300 people of the entire population of the planet within maybe the past 2,000 years have done it. Okay, that is an incredibly small decimal point. That is not where we're going. This is not about ascension. This is about advancement, right? It's what Adronis has always talked about every single time. And he's even corrected people when we have ascension. No, advancement. Yes, advancement. Yes, advancement is what's taking place here, not ascension. Okay, advancement is where you're slowly starting to see the collective of the planet expand, bit by bit, very, very tiny amounts, and it's going to gradually grow over the many generations. Whereas you're looking at Earth in 1,000 years, something you can't even identify. Right? Even if we were able to go back in time 1,000 years, those people couldn't even relate to how we are right now with all the technology that we use and everything that we do through our daily lives. They couldn't relate to it. It's so beyond them, right? And in 1,000 years, that's exactly what you're going to be seeing in the cultures to come. They're so incredibly advanced, we can't even begin to relate to them, because a lot of them are going to be very deeply spiritual, right? There's going to be some very deeply spiritual human beings on the planet when you look at the next 1,000 years. You wouldn't be able to relate to them. Everybody was, yeah, of course we go on the astral plane. We go into out-of-body states all the time. We're in talks with extraterrestrials all the time. We have many different civilizations that are talking with us all the time. We are able to go to different planets. It's no big deal. No big deal. We can't do that. Like I said, you would be completely and totally unrelatable to them, and vice versa. And that's about advancement. And advancement is what's taking place, and that's the expansion. Okay, the Earth is advancing herself, and once she gets placed in that new platform, that would represent an ascension experience, because she's actually peeling away her old body. The old body basically dies, and a new Earth becomes born. But you're looking at something that is going to take a very, very long time to do. Okay, right now she's walking an advancement path, just as we are. Where the Earth goes, we follow. Okay, And I do not see that in our lifetime or the next couple of lifetimes ahead, where the peeling away of her as a physicality into a dream Earth happens. Now, there already is a dream Earth that's available. There already is another Earth that you can connect to. I've been to that Earth, okay? And that's something that you can connect to. If you want to go into out-of-body state, if you want to go into astral travel, you want to go into dream time, lucid dreaming, and experience it, you can. It's already there, because time in that sense does not hold the threshold of impossibility for you to see that. So yes, that Earth already exists, but the transitional point between the Earth that we're on and that Earth is very wide apart, but the gateway is there. And so you basically have to depart from this body, whether it's through astral travel, out-of-body experience, lucid dreaming, what have you, deeper meditative states, to travel there, to go there, okay? When the time comes where you give up the body, whenever that happens, then you will have the option of being able to see that new Earth, okay? But you could not take this body in this physicality right now to that Earth. It's not possible, right? Because this body is calibrated for the physical plane, right? Adronis has also talked about this too, in saying that upon the nature of physical death, if it is your wish to see the new Earth, it can be done. Upon the nature of you leaving this body, if you wish to see the new Earth, it will be done. Okay, and that new Earth is what we would often refer to as the 5D Earth. So they're not wrong about a 5D Earth, but the whole idea of transitioning from a physical Earth for within a very short amount of time into an Earth that is in a dream space isn't going to be done that quick, right? That is going to take an incredible amount of time. Humanity needs to mature and humanity needs to evolve, right? Well, Brad, maybe we're at that point where we can evolve and get that done real quick. Nope. Not even close. Have you guys seen exactly how people still treat each other, right? Are we all tuning into a broadcast like this where we're talking to each other about the nature of spiritual expansion? That's a rarity. You got to find that within the great depths of the internet, right? You got to find this in much more of the grassroots. That's not mainstream at all, okay? If something like what I'm sharing right now was mainstream, we'd be looking at a very, very different type of humanity. We would say there's a humanity that is moving itself into such great states of advancement that maybe it won't take too long before something of that nature happens, pertaining to a great awakening of moving from one-dimensional Earth to another, okay? We're not there. We're not even close to being there, okay? This is something that needs to transition and progress within the generations ahead. Like I said, if you looked at the Earth 1,000 years from now, you'd probably see a broadcast like this coming up in the mainstream. 1,000 years from now. Right now, not a chance. Not one chance of that happening. It's too soon. That's like saying that I'm going to go back into the Neanderthal age and I'm going to watch these Cro-Magnons drive a Cadillac. Am I going to see a bunch of cavemen and women coming out and driving a Jeep, driving a Cadillac, going on a big, expensive luxury yacht? It's just, why doesn't that work? Because that's out of place. Exactly. Right? Right now, we're not in the place of going into those higher spheres with where we are in a state of maturity. You have to leave this body to experience those planes, right? It's not in a compatible nature where you have a body that is susceptible to the higher planes to move into such worlds naturally with this instrument. This instrument is too physical, it's too solid, it's here, right? That's what needs to happen. There needs to be a change, there needs to be a shift, there needs to be a movement in regards to a new body that would therefore be born. And this body basically has to be left behind to go into a new body. There are civilizations that exist that are in the astral planes, right? You have countless civilizations. And the astral plane itself is much more vast than the idea of this physical universe. This universe is like a teardrop compared to an ocean that represents the astral plane, right? You are only seeing a minuscule aspect of a replicated universe in physical matter representing our own physical universe. It's like a teardrop compared to the ocean that is the astral plane. The astral plane's universe is thousands of times larger, hundreds of thousands of times larger, okay? So you're looking at civilizations that are abundant. And it is very natural for them to have these astral experiences. Beings can basically work with synchronicity all the time. They can naturally teleport. They can naturally levitate. They can gravitate themselves into any situation because they're constantly following their heart. What Earth is doing here and how the people are behaving is so completely and totally alien to any other civilization that exists. They can't believe we're the way that we are. Don't they realize that they're part of the divine? Don't they realize that they're interconnected to all things? Don't they realize that if they connect together with synchronicity, everything that they wish to achieve can be done? No. That's weird. Okay? And that is how the majority of them see us. Why are they? It's like they're behaving like cave people. It's like they're Neanderthals. How are they not following synchronicity? How are they not working together with the capabilities of themselves? Because they think they're powerless. They think they're powerless, yes, because they think that they need to give their power to authority. Now, why would you need to do that? There's discussions like that happening, and they don't get it. I don't understand how humanity is so lost and confused. What are they doing down there? And maybe some of us have to incarnate and find out for ourselves. And that's why there's such a big queue of beings that are waiting to incarnate on the planet, right? Because we can only hold a certain amount of beings at a time here. So there's a big queue of spirit beings that are waiting together for the opportunity for them to incarnate, because they have that question. I'll go down there. I'll help them out. I'll do what I can to assist. And believe me when I say this, guys, a lot of you have said the exact same thing coming here. I don't understand why these humans are so confused. I don't understand why these humans aren't working with synchronicity. I don't understand why these humans aren't working with their inner divine self. I don't understand why these humans are basically fighting each other or conflicting with each other. Do they not realize they're all interconnected with the nature of the one? Do you guys have an answer for that? That's exactly why many of you have come down here. You are cosmic missionaries, right? You're cosmic missionaries to help break down a system that tells you you're worthless, you're separate from everybody else, you have no independent thought, you have no independent action, you can't think for yourself, you can't work with yourself, you can't bring about your dreams into physical reality. That's the kind of bullshit that we've been thrown at, have all this nonsense thrown at for centuries, for many millennia. And now we're cracking it open, and it is going to die because something new is coming together, because you're walking the advancement path. And that's the idea of moving from an old Earth that was under a lot of control to a new Earth that is going to be much more expanding, but it's going to be in the physical. It is not just some dream Earth because you think, oh, well, in order for an Earth like that to exist, it needs to be in the astral plane. Well, who the hell told you that? That's not what's happening. And this is where a lot of people are misconstrued with that idea of thinking that the new Earth needs to be in this higher plane, and it needs to be in the angelic planes, and it needs to be in the light being planes, and it needs to be in the ascended master's plane, and it needs to be in the archangelic plane, and it needs to be a plane in the soul, it needs to be a plane in the spirit, it needs to be up to God, and that's how we do it, and blah, blah, blah. That's the kind of nonsense that we're fed, and that the new Earth is here, and that it is going to reach expansion, and it is advancement, and at some particular point, it will shed its skin, and through that appropriate time, we will shed our skins and move into something that would represent an appropriate body, which means this body has to go and a new body comes together. That's the idea. But the whole idea of this advancing Earth is here. It's in the physical. It's physicalized. And it's something that is approaching. Okay? So Peach Gem, I hope that answers your question. We are out of time for now, guys. Thank you, everybody, for all of your questions. So you guys had awesome questions. I really loved it. And again, I'll be back on Wednesday next week for the next episode of Wisdom Transmissions Gathering, and next Thursday as well, too. Again, if you guys want to participate in the AetherX Academy, again, I'm doing an introduction module this Saturday. Please feel free to look into it. You're going to have an incredible experience. I had 100 students last semester, and they've just been buzzing about the AetherX Academy. So now's your chance to be a part of it. AetherXAcademy.com. Okay, is the website. Here it is, EtherXAcademy.com. Go ahead and enroll. I'd love to see you guys there. And I'm showing you a lot more deeper teachings than what I've shared here on YouTube and Rumble. So consider that. Thank you, guys, and I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Om Shanti, 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 Namaskar, and may it be well with you. Take care.